Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining tonight's workshop. I will give everyone just a couple more minutes to get logged on before we get started. And while we're waiting, I'm going to ask everyone to just type their name in the chat so I know who's here so I can say hi to you. And just as a fun icebreaker, since we're around the holiday season, I'm going to ask you to share your favorite holiday dish, recipe, ingredient, or beverage. Hi, Nishi. Yeah, I love chocolate too. That's why the combination of chocolate and peppermint for me is really good. So for those of you that are just signing on, I'm asking everyone to put their name in the chat so I know who's here so I can say hi to you. And then if you have a favorite dish, ingredient, beverage, spice, whatever it is that you really look forward to or enjoy having around the holidays, I'm asking you to share that as well. Hi, Sandeep. Yeah, mashed potatoes and stuffing. Yeah, definitely really yummy things around the holidays. Hi, Julio. Oh, yeah, cheesecake. That's a good one. I feel like that's one of those things that you get to enjoy for a special occasion. And now they have so many yummy flavors and different options to choose from. Hi, Nita. So for those of you that just logged on, I'm asking everyone to put their name in the chat. And if you have a favorite dish, ingredient, recipe that you like during the holidays, you can share that as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone again for joining me for tonight's workshop. I'm really excited for this workshop because it's around the holidays and it really relates to how nutrition and mental health are related. For some of you, this may be your first workshop with Pacific Integrative Psychiatry, so I just want to introduce myself. My name is Ailar, and I'm a certified clinical functional nutritionist at Pacific Integrative Psychiatry. A brief background about how I got into my field and the work that I do now. So I got my bachelor's degree in molecular and cell biology at UC Berkeley. At the time, I was really interested in the brain. So my emphasis in my major was actually neurobiology. And I was interested in pursuing a career in medicine and getting my MD license. I was doing research at the time. But during my education at UC Berkeley, I started to experience digestive issues, and I was having difficulty focusing. I was experiencing increased anxiety. So I started to experience with my diet. I started to eat healthier, and I noticed how my focus improved. My digestive symptoms basically resolved, and my anxiety essentially went away. So this is where I noticed how important the gut is, not just on our physical health, but also our mental health. So after completing my bachelor's degree, I started learning more about the gut-brain connection, which we'll talk more about today, and this term gut health being used very frequently. And I also heard the gut being referred to as our second brain. So then I decided to pursue my master's degree in human nutrition and functional medicine through University of Western States. And now I practice through a functional medicine approach to treat the root cause of diseases and conditions with a focus on the gut-brain axis. So a little bit of a review for some of you that may not be familiar with functional medicine. I just want to distinguish between what functional medicine is versus conventional medicine. So in a functional medicine setting, we aim to determine the root cause of a chronic condition, whereas conventional medicine or Western medicine focuses more on treating the symptoms, or what's referred to as the Band-Aid method. In functional medicine, we treat the whole body or the individual, whereas conventional medicine focuses on treating specific organs or individual body parts. Diet and nutrition play a huge role in functional medicine, whereas conventional medicine, there is very little to no focus on diet and nutrition. In functional medicine, we use diet, exercise, and lifestyle modifications as a first step approach. Whereas in conventional medicine, medications are often used as a first step approach, and they often lead to several downstream side effects. Functional medicine is very patient-centered, whereas conventional medicine is a bit more disease-centered. And lastly, functional medicine is very effective for long-term and chronic care, whereas conventional medicine is only effective for acute and more likely emergency type settings. For those of you that may be new to the workshop, I just want to go over what you can expect for the rest of our time. So I lead a live session workshop once a month at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time over Zoom. Today's topic, as you know, is the 5 holiday foods for your mental health. Participation is always welcome and encouraged. If you feel comfortable, I encourage you to turn on your cameras, turn on your audio when you're participating. If you want to speak up and share something or ask a question, that's definitely welcomed. At the end of the workshop, I'll open it up to a Q&A from participants. I'll answer some questions that I also received before the workshop. And for those of you that joined a bit later or weren't able to join at all, a recording of this workshop will be sent to you afterwards. And lastly, a couple rules to keep in mind. So please listen when others are speaking, respect everyone's privacy who's joined here today, and try to put away any distractions. Okay. So a little bit of a review of why gut health is so important and why we talk so much about the gut-brain axis. And this might be a review for some of you who attended previous workshops, but I definitely want to cover it before we get into the next couple of slides. So gut health plays a huge role on our brain and mental health. And the reason for this is because the gut is responsible for producing so many neurotransmitters, hormones that regulate our mental health, our mood, our energy levels, and even our sleep. Gut health is important for proper digestion, so reducing symptoms of constipation, diarrhea, bloating, abdominal pain. The gut health is really important for our immune system and having a strong immune system, and fighting inflammation, which oftentimes is a root cause of so many chronic conditions now. And lastly, what we'll be focusing more on today is why your gut health and your nutrition is so important for your energy levels and your mood during the holidays. All right, so we'll jump right into it. I'm going to be talking about 5 holiday foods to support your mental health. There are so many other foods that we could talk about today, but I've chosen 5 to focus on. If you have any questions or comments, and we can go over those at the end. Okay, so the first food I want to talk about are sweet potatoes. So most of you are probably familiar with sweet potatoes. They come in a variety of different shapes, colors, sizes. My personal favorite are Japanese sweet potatoes, which aren't even orange. They have kind of more of a whitish color, but still have that sweet flavor. Sweet potatoes are a really good source of fiber, and the fiber helps with controlling our blood sugar levels. It can also help with lowering LDL cholesterol, which is a specific type of cholesterol that's associated with cardiovascular events, especially if the levels become significantly elevated. The orange color of the sweet potatoes is an indicator that they are a good source of carotenoids or beta carotene, which can help with our skin health. Research has also shown that beta carotene can help with fighting cancer. Sweet potatoes are also a good source of vitamins A and C. These vitamins can help with things like our vision, our skin, and our immune system. Okay, the next food I want to talk about are green beans. So green beans are so common around the holidays, especially during Thanksgiving time. And the green beans actually have so many nutrients and so many health benefits. So some of these include vitamin K, which is important for our blood clotting, folate or vitamin B9, which again helps with our blood cells, red blood cells specifically. Fiber, which we talked about, helps with blood sugar regulation and lowering cholesterol, and it can help with our digestion as well. Calcium, which is important for our bones, our muscles, magnesium, and potassium. And these are also important for neurotransmitter production, our musculoskeletal system, and having proper digestion. All right, so the next food we're going to move on to are pumpkins, but also pumpkin seeds because they kind of go hand in hand. So pumpkins are really common around the holidays, especially during Thanksgiving and Halloween and the fall seasons. So pumpkins are also good for blood sugar balance, similar to sweet potatoes. They're also a good source of antioxidants. And again, the orange color in the pumpkins is an indicator that they're a good source of beta carotene, which can again help with your skin health. The pumpkin seeds now are a good source of zinc and magnesium. So zinc plays a role, for example, in our hormonal health and our immune system, whereas magnesium, it can be important for our digestion, neurotransmitter production, our muscles, and our overall mental health. All right, so this is one of my favorite spices. It can be really useful around the holidays, but it can also be used all year round. So most of you are probably familiar with turmeric as a spice. It actually comes from this plant that you can see in the picture here, but in the stores, you'll see it in this orangish or golden yellow color. So turmeric is a really good source of anti-inflammatories. It's rich in antioxidants as well. Turmeric can provide a really nice natural color for your food during the holidays as well. So for example, if you're making white rice, you can add turmeric to it to add a nice yellow color to your rice. Or if you're baking potatoes, the turmeric can add a very natural golden color without using any preservatives or dyes in your food. Now, one of the most important things to know about turmeric is that turmeric has this active component called curcumin, which is where we get all these added benefits. Now, in order for your body to properly absorb curcumin, it's really important to add black pepper to the turmeric when you're using it in your food and your dishes. So for example, if you're making a soup and you add a teaspoon of turmeric, you can also add a quarter teaspoon of black pepper to make sure that your body properly absorbs the curcumin component, which is going to help add all these added benefits. All right, so the last holiday food I want to talk about is actually avocado oil. And avocado oil is also something that I like to use year round. It can be super helpful in the kitchen for cooking, baking. So avocado oil is a really good source of omega-3 fatty acids, which are the good type of fat, the good type of cholesterol that we need in our diet for our cellular structure. The omega-3 fatty acids can also help with lowering inflammation in the body, and they are a rich source of antioxidants. One of the main reasons I like avocado oil and recommend using it during the holidays is because of its high smoking point. And what this means is that when you cook with avocado oil, if you're cooking at really high temperatures or baking at temperatures of, let's say, 450 degrees Fahrenheit, this won't compromise the structure of the avocado oil, and it won't make it unhealthy for you because the oil is built to last at these higher temperatures. And I would recommend using the more pure form of the avocado oil rather than the ones that have been more processed or refined. So for example, if you use different types of oil, like nut and seed oils, such as peanut oil, canola oil, or vegetable oil, these can be more inflammatory and they are actually very unstable at high temperatures. So you can imagine this can be really detrimental for your gut health, your mental health, because it can put your body under higher states of inflammation. Yeah. Yes, Dr. Bhopal Nishi is mentioning that omega-3s are also great for depression, which is very true. So I wanted to go over this diagram, which I know can be a little confusing for you, especially if you're looking at the presentation on a smaller screen, but don't worry, I'm just going to cover some key aspects of it and why it's important to take a look at. So the reason I wanted to mention the citric acid cycle or the TCA cycle or the Krebs cycle, it goes by many names, is because this helps us understand why do we need all these nutrients in our diet? Why does it matter if you're getting a variety of vegetables or if you're getting enough magnesium in your diet? So here we can see how our body takes specific foods that contain fat, carbohydrates or protein and converts them into energy or ATP for our brain and bodies to use, right? So for example, we can see that some key nutrients that are needed for ATP production include things like magnesium, manganese, several B vitamins, and iron. So you can imagine if you are missing some of these nutrients, or if you're low or insufficient in these, then you won't properly be able to produce ATP or have enough energy. This picture is used through one of the testing that we offer through Pacific Integrative Psychiatry, which looks at your overall metabolism. How is your body metabolizing the food that you're eating, getting energy from it, and are you missing any of these key components and nutrients? I also wanted to talk about some tips for meal prepping that you can use during the holidays. So one is that home-cooked meals are often much healthier than store-bought or packaged and processed foods. And the reason for this is because when we cook at home, we have more control over the types of oil we use, how much salt goes into our food, how much sugars are added. If you are purchasing processed or packaged foods, or if you're buying store-bought foods during the holidays, it can still be healthy. And what I would recommend is paying attention to the ingredients that go into your food. What types of oils are used? How is this product sweetened? And our goal is to make sure that we understand the majority of the ingredients that go into our food. Minimal ingredients will typically be best. A key tip to keep in mind is that about 4 grams of sugar is equivalent to 1 tablespoon of sugar. So if a label says 20 grams of sugar per serving, that's about 5 teaspoons of sugar just in that one serving. So it really puts it into perspective for you to see how much sugars am I consuming by just eating this one serving. Another meal prepping tip to keep in mind is that onion and garlic, which are commonly used during meal prep, are actually prebiotic-rich foods. So prebiotics are the fiber foods that the probiotic, the good bacteria in our gut, feed on. So when you use these ingredients during preparing your meals, you're actually helping feed the good bacteria in your gut, which can help create a healthier gut environment, and they can allow the gut to do all the functions that we talked about previously. Cooking oils do matter. So we talked about avocado oil having a higher smoking point, consisting of omega-3 fatty acids. Extra virgin olive oil is also another good source of omega-3s, which we talked about can be rich in antioxidants. Omega-3s can help our mental health, anxiety, depression. So I would recommend using these healthier oils, which are also made to last at higher temperatures, versus the other oils that can be more inflammatory and unhealthy for our physical and mental health. And then lastly, consider healthy alternatives. So for example, consider making cauliflower mash instead of mashed potatoes, or maybe mashed sweet potatoes instead of regular potatoes. So with that, I just wanted to quickly share a recipe or kind of a modification that I like to use with my family during the holidays, which is instead of using white potatoes, butter, salt, sour cream, or heavy cream, which goes into a typical mashed potato, we can use an alternative or healthier version of this using sweet potatoes, which are high in fiber, coconut oil, which has healthier fats, sea salt, which has a slightly lower sodium content than regular table salt, and cinnamon, which is a really good spice that can also help with our blood sugar balance. All right, now the last thing I want to talk about, which is super important to keep in mind during the holidays, is gratitude and mindful eating. Especially with Thanksgiving coming up, if you do celebrate this, keeping mindful eating in mind can actually really help your physical and mental health during the holidays. So first tip is consider saying a prayer or giving gratitude for your meal before you eat. You can either do this by yourself or you can do it with your friends, family members. Make sure to eat slowly and thoroughly chew your food before swallowing, right? So one tip that I will typically recommend to patients who really have a hard time slowing down during mealtime is actually eating with their non-dominant hand. So for example, someone who's right-handed, I would recommend eating with their left hand, or if you're left-handed, you eat with your right hand. And this is something that will really force you to slow down during your meal times, and it can help the digestive system as well. Take the time to look, smell, and appreciate your food using all your senses. So what does your food look like? Smelling it, maybe even tasting it a little bit before you add any seasoning. Try to avoid any negative self-talk or feelings of guilt, especially around unhealthy foods. I know this can be tough to do because during the holidays, we typically have more desserts or sugary foods. But any negative self-talk or feelings of guilt can also be unhealthy for our physical and mental health, right? So we can think of a negative thought as something that's going to negatively affect us, right? So it's going to increase the stress levels on our brain. It's going to increase stress levels in the gut, might make it even more difficult for your body to properly digest the food. Whereas if we have a healthy relationship and say, it's okay that I'm eating this, it's the holidays, I can enjoy a slice of pie, your body will actually not have those negative reactions to it. Making sure to stay hydrated by drinking plenty of water, especially if you're drinking alcoholic beverages or caffeinated beverages, which can dehydrate you. It's really important to drink water, taking small sips in between the meals or drinking before or after your meal. This can also help with the digestive process, your blood circulation, getting oxygen to the brain. And then lastly, take the time to rest after your meal by sitting down. I wouldn't recommend laying down because laying down can actually trigger symptoms of heartburn or acid reflux, especially if you've had a larger meal. All right, so that is the presentation. If anyone has any questions or comments, I invite you to turn on your camera or turn on your audio, and you can use the raise your hand icon, and I can call on you to ask your question. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you're welcome to put your questions in the chat box and I can answer them that way. So one question I got before the workshop was, what are some tips for soothing your digestive system, helping reduce any symptoms of bloating, gas, constipation, any digestive issues that might occur during the holidays? So one tip is actually using herbal teas, which you can drink, after a meal or even before the meal. So teas such as ginger, turmeric, chamomile, licorice root, and peppermint. So these are some really natural calming herbs that can help the digestive system. Another tip I have to help reduce bloating and abdominal pain specifically is to try and not fast all day before having a large meal. So I know a lot of us, especially during the holidays or Thanksgiving, will know that we're going to be eating a really large meal during that day. So people will fast for, the entire morning or even the afternoon. And then when you have that large meal, your digestive system is a bit shocked, right? Because you haven't had any time to produce digestive enzymes, stomach acid. Your digestive system has basically been on a break, and then all this food is introduced, usually at a rapid pace. So the digestive system is trying to play catch up, and usually it takes longer, and it tends to cause some of these issues as it's trying to digest all of your food. So eating something small, something with protein, some healthy fats, fiber, having a small meal prior to having that larger meal later in the day can help reduce some of those symptoms. Does anyone have any other questions?
Hey, Ailar. It's Nishi. Hi. Great presentation. Thank you. So I have a question about turmeric. Sorry, we have a echo in the back. Okay, I think we're good. So a question about turmeric. So, I love to use turmeric, and there's a lot of data showing it can help with reducing depression. It's really good for reducing inflammation. It can help with reducing irritability and hostility. Even there's some studies showing that. So it's a really great spice. So we use it a lot in Indian cooking, but I'd love to hear your ideas for using it in holiday meals. What's your favorite way to use turmeric?
Yeah, really good question. So, I love using turmeric pretty much every single day. I just made some potatoes, golden potatoes. That's what I call them, is when you combine the avocado oil, you use a little bit of turmeric, black pepper, sea salt. So you mix everything together. Turmeric can also be really good in any type of stews or soups, which can be really good, especially during the colder seasons. So making like an Instant Pot or doing like a slow cooker dish using a variety of vegetables. You can add good sources of protein in there, plant-based sources like beans, lentils, or if you prefer things like turkey, chicken. And you can just add the turmeric in there. If you add too much, it might become a little bit bitter. So that's why I recommend just using, a teaspoon or so, and then making sure you get the black pepper in there. And then lastly, my favorite turmeric recipe is actually a turmeric latte, which can be really fun to drink in the mornings or just kind of in the evenings, because it doesn't have any caffeine really. It's just made from turmeric. You can add some cardamom, some cinnamon, and you can add like a little bit of honey or maple syrup to sweeten it. But again, you can add that dash of black pepper and you barely even taste it, but it can be really delicious and soothing. All right. Let's see. Does anyone have any other questions? Nice to see everyone's faces. Thank you, everyone who turned on your cameras. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to us through email at contact@pacificintegrativepsych.com. You're welcome, Tage. And if you are interested in learning more about your personal nutrition, gut health, how it relates to your mental health, your energy levels, you can reach out to us at Pacific Integrative Psychiatry. We offer a discovery call where we can just chat a bit more about if this is appropriate for you or something that might benefit you. But otherwise, I do lead these workshops once a month. So we'll be having our next one next month, and we're going to continue the discussion of talking about how your food can affect your mood, your mental health. So if you're interested, I definitely would recommend signing up. You can use the same link, or you can reach out to us as well. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.